Hello again, everybody. I'm Barry Welsh, and this is the American Doofus Show. This is going to be about things I've gotten right and things I've gotten wrong so far. I know it's really early in the history of this show, but some things have proven true and some things have proven false. First episode was fun with flags. We talked about the American flag and how to respect it and how sometimes people disrespect the flag, may not even know it. Some of them do it intentionally. But anyway, I talked about what a powerful image it is and the fact that it's your flag, it's my flag, it's our flag, it's the American flag. Don't let one segment steal our flag or your flag. I'm not going to let it happen. It's going to be flying right here on the American Doofus Show. Now, I said if protesters used the American flag and shown that they were Americans, that it would have an impact. And if you saw in Portland, it was a line of veterans that stood between the federal troops and the citizen protesters. And they were carrying American flags. Some of them had them upside down as a sign of distress, just as we talked about in the first show. And the federal troops were pulled out, and last night and thus far tonight, Portland's been peaceful. The protesters have been policing themselves. Nobody's causing any trouble. It's because that flag image is so powerful. And because the troops were pulled out, because they escalate, just like police sometimes escalate in these situations when protests are deemed to be riots. And they're not a riot until they're escalated. I've watched too many live streams, but I was right about that one. I was wrong about COVID-19 in the school here. I said in another video that a child was tested and confirmed positive in the same brief time period. That wasn't the case. I was wrong about that. What happened was the parents sent the child to school with a pending COVID test. The kid had symptoms before he'd been tested. He'd been around people that have tested positive, and they sent him to school. On the surface, that seems like such a horrible thing to do, but we don't know the circumstances, and parents are in an incredibly difficult situation right now. They've got to decide whether they want to send their kids to school and potentially risk them getting ill, or their jobs in many situations. A lot of parents don't have a lot of resources, and kids are supposed to bring their own food and their own water, and sometimes the only meals kids get is at school. So we're in a really difficult situation. So don't judge parents too harshly, except the ones that refuse to wear a mask. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I was right about the fact that COVID-19 is real, and John Bartlett was on one of the shows, and you need to listen to that, and you need to share that, especially with those that still don't think it's real. Now, I was wrong about a thing I said in one of the shows. I said, agree to disagree, but don't disconnect. And I was wrong about that, because some people are just toxic. And I've learned that over the past 24 hours. And sometimes you just have to disconnect for your own well-being, for your own moral compass. Because a lot of things people think are political are actually moral, in my opinion. And that brings us to the final thing I want to talk about tonight. This one's not a right or wrong. It's just a continuation of why you should wear a mask, social distance, and wash your hands. I used to be a minister. I spent a lot of time preaching. I'm still a Christian. I still believe in God. I I just don't believe in religion. Okay. One of the reasons they didn't really like me in the church an awful lot is because I preached that everybody should have their own personal relationship, and it should be so strong that you don't need somebody else to preach to you about it. Well, that's not a good way for churches to make money, so that's not always something you want to say as a preacher, but it's something I believed in my heart. And I think a lot of Christians have lost their way when it comes to what it really means to be a Christian. I'm going to talk about that some more in an upcoming episode, but right now I want to talk about those of you that say, God will save me. And maybe he will. Maybe he will. But God also gives you the free will to save others or to be an infector, because that's what you potentially are if you are so selfish you won't wear a mask when it's required. It's not stitched to your face. It's not like you have to wear it 24 hours a day. You wear it when you're around other people. That's all. That's all. That's all. Now, tell you a little story before I end. There was a hurricane. The hurricane was coming. And the police came around and told everybody on the coastline, hurricane's coming, you need to get out. Hurricane's coming, you need to get out. And this man stood on his porch and he said, God will save me. Well, the rains came. Then the winds came. Then the floodwaters came. They started rising up in his house and rising up in his house. And he got up on the roof of his house. And a helicopter came. And the guy in the helicopter had a bullhorn and he said, we'll drop down a rope ladder and you can climb up and we'll get you out of here. The man said, no need for that. God will save me. Helicopter said, no, you've got to get out of here. No, God will save me. Water kept rising. Water kept rising. The water got up to the roof level and an emergency responder came by in a boat. He said, get into the boat. This is your last chance. You're going to die. The man said, no, God will save me. God will save me. Now, there are a lot of times that there are situations like this where you wonder how in the world did somebody survive, and God might have saved those people. But this man on this roof, the water kept rising, the house collapsed. He got caught in the rubble and he died. And he went to heaven and he said, God, why did you let me die? God said, I sent you a policeman, I sent you a helicopter, and I sent you a boat. It was your free will. Thanks for listening. Talk to you next time.